The Messerschmitt prototype 1101 was a single-seat jet fighter project which sought a second generation of jet fighters for Germany. A prominent feature of the prototype was that the sweep angle of the wings could be changed before the flight, a feature further developed in later variable sweep aircraft such as the Bell X-5. Its story began in September of 1944. On July 15th of 1944, the Luftwaffe submitted a proposal to Germany's aircraft manufacturers. This emergency fighter competition specified the following requirements for a new second-generation jet fighter. Powered by the new Heinkel 011 turbojet, level speed of 1000 km per hour, fuel capacity of 1000 liters, operation at altitudes of 14,000 meters, armed with 4 30mm cannon and a pressurized cockpit. The real game changer was the revolutionary Heinkel 011 jet engine. It featured a unique compressor arrangement. Many of the German jet-powered aircraft designs at the end of the war were designed to use this new engine. It never entered production, and only 19 prototypes were built until the end of the war. Messerschmitt began to create the first of the single-seat, single-jet engine fighter designs. Only 9 days after the specification was issued, the first Messerschmitt 1101 had taken shape on paper. The fuselage was short and wide, with 2 round air intakes on either side of the cockpit, which fed the single Heinkel 011 jet engine, which was located in the lower rear fuselage. The wings featured 2 different swept-back angles, a steeper angle of 40 degrees near the fuselage, and a shallower angle of 26 degrees outboard. The V-tail unit was mounted on a boom that extended above the jet exhaust. The nose wheel of the tricycle landing gear retracted to the rear of the 2 main wheels, retracted forwards into the wing roots. The main armament was to consist of 2 30mm cannon located in the lower forward fuselage sides. One of the more advanced weapon systems proposed for this design was the upward-firing SG-500 Jagdfaust or Fighter's Fist. This was basically a thin-cased 50mm high explosive rocket-propelled shell housed in a vertical tube. 2 of these would have been placed in the fuselage nose. After obtaining many different results from the variety of wing profiles and fuselage shapes from wind tunnel testing, Messerschmitt decided to actually build a full-scale flying test aircraft. Since many of the components were already built, like the wing assembly, the undercarriage, the engine and controls, it was felt that the aircraft could be flying and giving more accurate test results in a relatively short time. A time-saving yet risky approach was tried on the final version of the Messerschmitt 1101. Production was to run parallel with statistical calculations and with detailed construction. Despite delays due to the worsening war situation and transportation of some of the components, construction slowly took place at Messerschmitt's Oberammergau complex in the Bavarian mountains of southern Germany. This complex was unknown to the Allies and never suffered any bombing raids during the war. An experimental testing program was also being devised. It was intended to begin the test flights with the wing set at 35 degrees and later to try a 45-degree sweep, since the wing was designed to be set at different angles while on the ground. The first test flight was to take place in June of 1945. The first Messerschmitt 1101 was about 80% complete when the Oberammergau complex was discovered by American troops on the 29th of April 1945, a few days before the war's end. A few days before the US Army was expected to appear, Messerschmitt had all the engineering drawings, calculations, and design work placed on microfilm and packed in watertight containers. These containers were then hidden in 4 locations in surrounding villages. On the 29th of April, the US infantry unit entered the Oberammergau complex. The incomplete prototype was found and pulled out of a nearby tunnel where it was hidden. Within a few days of the German capitulation, American specialists had arrived to assess the significance of the seized complex. After questioning some of the Messerschmitt employees, it was learned of the missing documents. When the American team tried to recover these hidden microfilm documents, they found that the French army had already recovered some of the documents. One of the men in the American research team was working for the Bell Aircraft Works. He, as the Messerschmitt chief designer, lobbied for the completion of the Messerschmitt prototype after the war in the summer of 1945. This proved to be impossible due to the fact that most of the design documents were now in France, which they refused to share at this point in time, and other key information had been destroyed. The prototype was by now showing damage due to the rough treatment it had been receiving, such as sitting outside in the elements and even as a photographical curiosity for the American troops. The prototype was later shipped to the Bell Aircraft Works in Buffalo, New York in August of 1948. More damage was sustained when the aircraft fell off a freight car, which in effect ruled out any possibility for repair and flight testing. But Bell used the aircraft as the basis for the X-5, during which individual parts of the Messerschmitt 1101 were used for static testing. Sometimes in the early 1950s, the remainder of the Messerschmitt 1101 prototype was sent to the scrapyard, thus ending this unique and distinctive aircraft's history.